Good morning, Robertson County. How are you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn Laverne, and this is One Street Over, and I've got Danavan Hylton in the house. And we got a little bit of. I want to get you to go over there using the big camera for the radio station. All you have to do is just touch the screen in the back, and it'll focus in on us. That's what it's supposed to do. We're going to try it. It's supposed to. Just touch it. Okay. It's not clearing up real great, but that's okay. I just want to get a little bit better shot for it. Hi guys. This is the backside of what we do here at 1100 WSGI. We are here for One Street Over. This is Danavan Hylton, my friend, who is here with me once a month. Yes. And I'm so thankful to have you in the house, and you just always look so handsome and so dressed up.
Thank you,
so professional, and we just appreciate you taking your time out and giving us a day every single month. And thank you so much.
More than welcome, and thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We were sitting here chit-chatting, as we often do, as we get ready to bring the program on, and we forget that the song's about to run out. I get distracted. So anyway, but welcome to the show, and we appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here at One Street Over and 1100 WSGI. I'm in my midweek. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is just because I have really late nights because it's all I do stuff with Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday nights, and it's just busy.
What are some of the things that you have to or you do?
With Celebrate Recovery, I'm on staff at Madison Church of Christ, okay, and just part-time, very part-time, but that's my task for the church primarily is keeping Celebrate Recovery gathered and going on. So to facilitate that, I attend to Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday nights.
I see.
To get access to different people to do testimonies and just learn what I need to, because the leader for Celebrate Recovery over here at Epiphany Baptist is our state rep, Matt Driscoll. So that keeps me plugged in there. And I've actually started working with the Praise and Worship Band. And so that's kind of fun. That's just something that I'm just thrilled that those guys over at Epiphany are letting me. I tease them. I said, "You're letting me play in your sandbox. This is so much fun," because it's something I've always wanted to try and see if I don't know. You feel a calling on your life, and I've always felt a calling in worship leading, and there's no avenue for it in the way I feel called in my home church. So my crazy cousins over at Epiphany, they're like, "You can come play with us." So, we're doing that, and I'm learning.
That's awesome.
The big, if you come and come to CR at Epiphany, sometimes my timing's off very bad because I'm used to singing everything a cappella when it comes to worship music.
I see.
Not with instruments. So it's a little different, and they're so patient and kind, but they're helping me, they're teaching me. And so it's just neat. So yeah, awesome. All those things. But we practiced it on Thursday nights. So
okay.
So that's the Thursday night rub. We had the chorale for Willow Oak is practicing now on Thursday nights, and our friend Dr. Causey has been doing that.
I see.
And so they got signed up to do the Christmas show, and I was like, I wish I'd known about that. And I found out about it too late. And so he messaged me. He says, "Hey, we're starting practice again." I'm like, "Ooh, I've already started something else on Thursday night." So you just really wish you could be everywhere.
I understand.
Frustrating that you just can't be everywhere. So what are you doing? What's keeping your time? What's occupying your time now?
Just running a business right now. Marketing, things with employment recruiting, helping people find jobs, helping employers find residents, and a lot of real estate development. Companies are coming in doing projects, and they need to make sure that the community is aware, and so doing a lot of community events between Nashville and Clarksville. So those are two bigger things.
Well, let me put one on your radar right now. I need you to come in and talk to my business and marketing class, because that's one that we're building the audio video program in Greenbrier, and the hope is eventually that's all I will be teaching is audio video production, right? And so that's my hope, because right now I'm trying to do preparation for 3 completely different classes, even though there's some similarities between the business communications and introduction to business and marketing. No, they're quite different. I mean, there's some things that can cross over from business communications, but not a ton.
I follow you.
So my introduction to business and marketing class, you need to come speak.
I would be honored.
You want to today?
That was a good one. You turned up. Like you, I do have a full schedule as well.
I've got a plan for him today. But it's like, oh, yeah, you can come anytime.
If I can do it before the end of the month, though, if that's not moving too fast, that'd be great.
That would be
count me in.
Fabulous, fabulous. And maybe we can talk a little bit about Black History Month because that's what you want to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, where do you want to start? Danavan Hylton is with me. He is with Hylton Elite. And we'll talk about, tell them very quickly in case somebody's new and hasn't seen you on the program, tell them what you specifically do and how you do it and all those things. And I want you just to kind of unpack yourself. And I'm going to see if I can't get that camera to focus in better.
Okay.
Because the one we're using on YouTube for the radio station is just a little fuzzy this morning. So, go ahead and talk, and I'm going to see if I can't focus that camera.
You got it. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So, Danavan Hylton. I'm a relationship management consultant by trade. And all that simply means is I manage relationships with community, business, and government leaders. And the relationships that I manage specifically, I run through my sales and marketing firm with my wife, Hylton Elite Marketing Agency. And we pretty much help these leaders or brands either increase their customer base or their community presence, particularly in urban areas of Tennessee. And so, again, that deals with anything with employment marketing, helping employers find local residents for jobs. Career training recruitment. So if there's a career training organization that wants to get more residents to apply for their career training programs, they'll reach out to us. Urban core development. If a real estate company, usually coming from out of state, are in the area, they want to do development, they need to connect with community residents. So they'll contract with us to oversee those events. And then as of late, we've been working with local businesses, usually that make $12 million or more in sales, on directing more traffic to their brand, either online or in person, and to reach a new demographic. And so those are all, at the end of the day, relationships that we manage through marketing and community engagement. You can reach us, find us online at www.e1connect.com. That's the letter E, the numerical number 1, connect.com. Or you can reach us by telephone 615-953-4969. 615-953-4969.
Excellent. And I just appreciate you so much. And I love what you do and what you bring to the table. And we absolutely have to have you come in and talk to our business and marketing class.
Thank you.
And as soon as you said that, you mentioned marketing, I'm like, this is it. This is it. Us teachers are always on the outlook for something. Is it? I got teachers. I've always had all kinds of respect for teachers. Never for even a minute suggest that they just don't do amazing things.
Absolutely.
But until you've been in the classroom and you've tried to keep these students busy for, we're on a block schedule, so an hour and a half. And you want to get kids walk in, they go, what are we doing today? And I'm like, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I always go in with a plan and some kind of a lesson plan, but you have to know that there's things going to come up ended, and there's going to be pep rallies, and there's going to be things that upset your apple cart. I was talking to my sweet friend, Miss Gray, yesterday and she does special needs stuff. And she works with all the special needs kids, and wow, what they do. Wow. She was telling me, I was like, man, I have 3 preps. I have to get 3 different classes ready. And she's like, I do like 46. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? And I mean, it was a number that was just, I was like, what? How? And talking to her, I knew the folks who are helping our special needs students, oh my goodness, God bless you. And these kids are amazing kids. And the love and the dedication that they pour into that just blow my mind. That, and 2, are English language learners. We've got so many kids that are new to this country. And I was talking with, what is his last name? He's from Cuba, and he speaks Spanish. He's our Spanish teacher. I want to say Mr. Magrin, I think is his last name. But anyway, he's families from Cuba, and he was talking about if you could sit down with our Latino students and really know their stories and let him translate, this would just blow your mind. The journey that some of these kids have gone through. And so our English language teachers that are just pouring into our students and trying to help them navigate waters, I just can't. We've got Oh, we've got a couple of students that are from Vietnam.
Wow.
That are just amazing. One of those young men, he's been here a few months and speaking fluent English now. And that blow my mind. All these kids, all these students blow my mind, and just love them so much. It's just
Beautiful.
awesome. It's just awesome, but it's a lot. It is a lot. You just have no idea unless you've set in the role of a teacher. And if that's something you aspire to do, if you're like me, if you're retiring out of a career, if you've retired from something, why don't you retire into teaching? How about that? Retire into teaching. And you might be surprised at how quickly you can be certified to teach. But that's we're going to market that. Retire into teaching. How about that, Dr. Causey? He's going, yeah, Laverne. That's why we brought you. Retire into teaching. Oh man. Okay. That's it. That's our banner. That's our banner. I'm sorry. That's a marketing line.
That's
y'all.
it. That's
Anyway,
it.
That's how they happen. It's brainstorming.
You heard it first on One Street Over.
Danavan Hylton, y'all. I reached out to him yesterday, and I hadn't talked to you because the first of the month was on Wednesday, and you come in on the second Wednesday, and so sometimes when that happens, we're like, "Ooh, second Wednesday's here," and so because of that, it kind of makes the week or the month kind of odd. And so, did you forget that it was your day?
I never do. That's not a fear, but it's more of my greatest focus.
Yeah.
At the beginning of each month is
You're
the second
like,
Wednesday.
bless your
So
heart.
one of the worst things I do not want to do is say, "Hey, U-turn, I forgot," or I'm coming, anything of that nature, because I appreciate the opportunity. So literally every month, second Tuesday is on my calendar.
Awesome. I try to remind my guests. I
appreciate
really
that.
do. I really try to remind them. Now, there's Aaron Slate. He showed up last month, and on schedule, I'd forgotten about him because I had forgotten his schedule time. He comes in on the fourth Wednesday. And we had missed a couple of Wednesdays during the holidays. And so it just had kind of gotten off my radar. So we've got Aaron on schedule to be here fourth Wednesday. And we might even, I don't know, I haven't talked to him, but we had talked a little bit about having him in for the entire hour because he's a Marine and served. And so he has a lot of thoughts on the suicide rates of our military, and this is the emphasis month for that.
I see.
And it's also Heart Month. There's all kinds of things going on. Every month there's the things that you focus on, and that's one of the focuses this month. So we may try to get him in early to talk about that. But this is talking about emphasis months. It's Black History Month. So that is when I reached out to you yesterday. You said that's what you wanted to talk about. So
Yes.
do you have some specific things you want to talk about in regards to that?
So yes, and just very broad. Speaking of education, I want to highlight some of Robertson County's and Springfield's notable figures.
Okay.
One being Miss Lena Bransford and Mr. John L. Patterson specifically.
Right.
And then I wanted to just promote the event that the Historical Society is doing with them. And then just promote the brands that I've had a chance to do some research on that are in Robertson County promoting Black History Month. Those are the bigger things. I figured we touch on that this month.
Well, and it's so funny that you mentioned that because I had Danny actually in last week,
Okay.
and we talked about this. And we need to keep reminding people because it's next week. And so we had put together at Greenbrier, we've put together several videos, about 5 different videos of figures from Black history. And so when he came in, I said, well, we've got to do one now on Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson. And Miss Lena's is just about done.
Okay.
We've got just a little bit to do. We actually videotaped some students reading a narrative about who they were yesterday. And my sweet student, Mackenzie Knight, did the one for Miss Lena, and we've just about got that one finished. And we actually there's one line in the commentary that Danny put together talking about how that she taught up until right before she died, and she taught piano the week before she died, I think. And so there's this old baby grand piano at Greenbrier, and it's rough, but we pulled it out of the corner and set Mackenzie down at it. So we've got her sitting at a piano for this shot, you know. And we could have lit it better. As I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I should have backlit her and all those things that you see now that you're in post. But it's still a very sweet piece, and she did a great job. And
awesome.
So we're going to hopefully roll that out here in the next 24 to 48 hours and have posters out for that to help promote that. And hopefully that will help promote the the event, the play. What
Yep.
do you know about it? So I'll quiz you. What do you know about
question.
it?
I know it's between February 16th, I believe, through the 19th.
I think it starts Wednesday next week.
Wednesday.
I'm not sure. I don't have my calendar in front of me.
I have it right here in front of me, so I'll speak out. I wanted to see if I can remember it, but February 16th, I think that is a Wednesday. 16th, 17th, and 18th, starting at 7 p.m. from my understanding at Innovation Academy.
Right.
That's where the performance will be. And then February 19th, the performance starts at 2 p.m. And again, it's just an opportunity to see a performing arts of Miss Lena Bransford and Mr. John L. Patterson at the minimum.
And it is going to be wonderful because basically what Danny was saying when he was here, he said this is an opportunity to take, if you've ever been to the cemetery where they'll have like a in the first person somebody talk about their life that over here in the cemetery and the things that they do from the historical society. It's really cool. I've been to those, and they wanted to feature in the same fashion Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson. And so they've got and I don't have the actors' names in front of me, but just fabulous actors. And they're going to be doing that type of a depiction. And it's going to be just wonderful. If you've never really read their stories, they're so inspiring. Miss Lena never married, and those kids at Bransford were her kids. And the way Mr. Patterson inspired. There's a speech that Danny read last week. I dare you to the 1947 graduating class of Bransford, I believe it was, and it's just awesome. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the actor portray that, and he's going to present that speech. So it's going to be awesome, and and actually it's Thursday night next week. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday next week at 7 p.m. and then Sunday at 2 o'clock matinee.
That's right.
But they're going to do it for the kids in school too. So there's going to be some daytime performances and those types of things.
Right.
And for students, they can go and just pay what you can. They're not setting a price for students. It's just if you don't have the money, just come. If you can pay $1, pay $1. If you can pay more, pay more. And for adults, it's $15, I think.
$15. That's correct.
And just a wonderful thing. And I think part of the proceeds are going to the Bransford Center and those things. So I mean, just cool stuff going on from the Historical Society, and you need to be a part of it. So
absolutely. And I guess while I'm listening to you, we may dive deeper into education. And speaking of Black History Month, how important education is, and especially for respectfully Black and brown residents, just taking advantage of education. That was something that 100 years ago or something wasn't really possible, and so being a parent and watching our great futures of tomorrow grow up, I'm not quite sure, to include myself, if we appreciate just overall the opportunity of getting free education, just what these two educators did, and maybe we can just talk a little bit more about what they've done and what made them so notable, especially during those times, that we really want to make sure that we keep, in our hearts and minds and just be the best people we can be,
I appreciate you saying that. I actually had a conversation with one of my Latino students, and just a great young man, very, very smart, but he's just not really applying himself. And I told him, I said, do you realize what an opportunity you've got here? And I said, I love you, and I just don't want you to waste this, man. And I mean, I had that conversation with him privately because I just think he just needs just a little bit of a nudge and just a little bit of we're holding you accountable. We really want you to do this because we see your potential. And I think that's one thing do you remember what it was like to be 15, 16 years old?
I do.
Yeah. And I try to empathize in that regard when I'm talking to them and understand they're teenagers. And so they've got a completely different thing that they're focusing on that's driving them. And if we can just plant a little bit of a seed that says, this is a good thing, education. I had one of my homeroom students, my cat time students the other day, who I just adore. He's such a sweet kid, young man. But he's like, this whole education thing, we should be able to just go into to apprenticeships and all of that. And I said, and so we got into this little debate. And it was a good debate, but it was so interesting because I told him, I said, regardless of what you feel about the system we have, this is what we've built and this is what is established. And if you go out into the world without your education, without a high school diploma, you're going to have doors shut in your face.
100%.
So many. And you may think right now it's not a big deal, but trust me, in a minute, you're going to be like, oh, why didn't I finish that? Why didn't I finish that? And then something else he hadn't thought about. I said, you do not understand that there's an awful lot of students that is a safe place. It's a haven for them to get out from under family situations that they're dealing with parents that are addicted, grandparents that are addicted. And it's this endless cycle. And it just so happened that somebody in my class heard us talking who is a child of that background. And he walked up, he goes, yeah, let me talk to you.
Wow.
He's got addiction issues, his parents do, and his grandparents. And boy, he spoke some truth into those young people. And I'm telling you, I told him, I said, some kids, this is the only place that they have a chance to get a meal. And after we got done, he goes, okay, you win. and so it was one of those conversations. But I really appreciated the student that's had this background that said, hey, yeah, me.
Yep.
Me. And I don't know, I'll tell you, this whole teaching thing is, wow. It opens my eyes up to something new every single day. What was the line we had for marketing? Retire to teach, or
teaching? No, shoot, I don't have a pen with me. I should have.
We'll go back and listen because it was good. It was one of the
working into retirement.
Retire into teaching. Retire into teaching. I don't know. We had it, but it's on there. We'll go back and listen to it. But we need you guys. We need you teaching. And if you're somebody that's I have retired into teaching. Retire into teaching.
Retire,
I think that was it.
Sounds right.
Retire into teaching, and we need you. And if you're a math teacher, oh my goodness, we need you bad. Oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about this. I've got one of my friends from Egypt. He's just brilliant, and he's working in a hotel. Has been for probably 15 years now, but he's very gifted in math. And we've got to get a path for him to teach math because he's gifted in it. And here he is just sitting there and he could be teaching. And so we got to figure that out. But he'd be in Metro Nashville. But, he and bilingual, especially in an area I got a teacher for you, Metro Nashville. Just saying, I got a teacher for you who speaks Arabic and English fluently and is gifted in math. And he is working in a hotel and doing wonderful there, has family, but he would be a brilliant teacher for you. So reach out to me.
Can definitely see that.
Be good if we could move him up here, but I don't know if that could happen. But Dr. Cos would be like, okay, Laverne, but we don't necessarily need his language skills in this county because it's Arabic, Arabic and English. They need it in East Nashville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Big time.
Absolutely.
Big time. But talking with Danavan Hylton, and we're just going to be all over the place. We're talking about, we don't want you to miss the theatrical experience of hearing Miss Lena and Mr. Patterson's story next week. And it's being presented by the Historical Society of Robertson County. It's going to be at Innovation Academy. You can go Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night at 7 p.m. You can go to the matinee on Sunday. And there's going to be some special times that they're going to present this for the students. And it's all in association in recognition of Black History Month, but of two just amazing people in our history and in our community that have really made a difference that's still echoing into this generation. So
Absolutely.
We want you to be a part of that. We probably need to go ahead and do a break. Always love talking to Danavan. He ends up always leading me into stuff, and I end up talking too much. But I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Let's start with Cumberland Connect. If you are a Cumberland Electric customer, it's so much fun. I was actually working on some of the videos and stuff that the students had done last night, and I prefer to work on video production now at my house because I can upload so quickly and so efficiently because I am a Cumberland Connect customer. And that's something I have not been able to do just in the last few weeks. They came out on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and installed the line to my house. We knew that we were set to get access to Cumberland Connect at the end of 22, early 23. And so they had the line ran to the utility pole the end of last year, probably early December. And so as I was anticipating what was next, they said, well, they'll connect it to the house. You don't have to be home for that. And so they showed up on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, connected to my house. I went out and hugged the guy's neck. As soon as he left, even before they filed the paperwork, I was on the phone trying to schedule my inside appointment. And then they came out 2 days later, installed it in the house, and I've had just flying internet ever since. I've got a gig for $80. And my upload data caps, no throttling speeds, no residential contracts. And if you're saying, I can't afford that, or maybe I want something that's got TV along with it, and I want some TV packages. They've got internet plus local TV, $100 a month, internet and expanded TV, $185 a month, internet and ultimate TV, $215 a month, and that's your internet and everything. If you want all the things, you can get that, and it's amazing. It's just so much fun to see what they have and what they have available for you now. And here's the thing. If you're somebody that says, I cannot afford anything, well, it is a utility now, and it's something we all need. And there is an affordable connectivity program providing qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. If you're eligible, you may receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. If you want to know more, call them 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or connect with them at www.cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. Always let them know that U-Turn sent you, and thank them for sponsoring and being a full-time sponsor now of 130. And we're back with my friend Danavan Hylton, and we're talking just about all things in our community, talking about education, talking about Black History Month. Do not want to neglect reminding you about the play next week. We'll recap that again before we finish today, but I think we've said enough about that. What else do you want to talk about?
Absolutely. I still want to just maybe just dive into education for young folks and why that's so important. And I do want to shout out for those, I'm sure you brought up on the show before, but that's robcohistoricalsociety.com for the Robertson County Historical Society. robcohistoricalsociety.com to get more information of not only this event that we're talking about, but just the many different events that they have going on. But speaking of education, and even going back into the young man saying, hey, well, how is this relevant? And actually, I have a soft skills / customer service training that I'm doing for community residents through a housing agency later on today. And they have been assigned to perform a particular duty of ambassadorship for a project. But ultimately, one of the bigger things I want them to be aware of is, hey, where respectfully, what is your professional goals? What are your career goals? Where would you like to see yourself? And with that being in your mind, you will be more aware of why, at the minimum, education is so important. It's obviously important for your individual needs, but if you want to pursue a particular task while you're in life, you're going to have education. I mean, you have to have the foundation of it, and then the various specialization information that you need, and so like the student, maybe so we've been 15, we may not have thought, where we want to end up and what we want to do, but as you get to that age, you want to start thinking about that, because that's going to help guide you and help you stay on the path that you're supposed to, where you're heading. And I'm almost certain that Miss Lena Bransford and Mr. John L. Patterson had a vision, or was given a vision of, where they're going with their career, and whatever challenges or experiences that they went through, that did not affect them on where they were going to go, which I'm assuming that's why they're notable figures today, not only because of their personal perseverance, but then there are also exterior or external, environments that gave them some challenges too, So I think that that's something that I really want the people, when they go to the event or when they are talking about the young man, looking at Miss Bransford and Mr. Patterson as examples of, hey, I'm sure they had a vision of where they wanted to go, and they utilized that, and I just really want to just highlight that particular point, not only for the students, but for all of us in life. What's your thoughts on that, U-Turn?
I just love that you're doing that, number one.
Thank you.
I encourage you, get the speech by Mr. Patterson that I dare you to the 1947 class.
Okay.
And if I can remember when I leave here, I'll try to email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
But that is a powerful just challenge. And it was in 1947. But that is such a wonderful challenge. And two, also, the things that they do through the decisions, choices, and options, there's another piece that you could add to what you're sharing with them. There is what they call the, what do they call it? The successful, the success sequence. The success sequence at decisions, choices, and options. And they challenge students. They say, how many of you want to live in poverty, right? Okay, and there, of course, no hands go up.
Right.
And they say you would only have a 9% chance of living in poverty. So that's less than 10% chance of living in poverty if you'll do three things. And one of them is graduate from high school, then start working full time, and get married and have children after you're 21.
I see.
After you're 21, because how many of them end up having unplanned pregnancies when they're in high school or something like that? They're, this is something to promote abstinence as a choice for your health and for your future. That decisions, choices, and options that they promote, but it's called the success sequence, and it just this is something I mentioned to my my classes the other day that we're talking about. We did a banking section on the marketing class, and I told them, I said, if you want to only have a 9% chance of living in poverty. And I only got into, I didn't really talk about the decisions, choices, and options part of it. I just said, those three things, if you'll do those, your chance of living in poverty is only 9%. And again, it's graduate from high school, go to work full time, and wait until you're 21 to have kids and get married. And that will keep you your best chance. That puts you in a 91% chance of not living in poverty. That's pretty stark.
That is, I wrote that down.
That's pretty stark. But I mean, there's the slide that they use for it.
Okay.
But I'm a big, I love decisions, choices, and options. They are amazing, and they're in our Robertson County schools. I'm so proud of the work that Joy and all those folks do there. But they've got some good stuff. And to me, that success sequence is so powerful. Just such a powerful image and such a powerful message to just constantly share with students. It's like, if you would like to have a 91% chance of not living in poverty, finish school, go to work when you get out of school, full-time, not part-time, full-time, and wait until you're 21 to have kids and get married. Just saying. There you go.
So much is going through my head, U-Turn. One, just all the resources that are available for students today.
Yeah.
And I really want to tip my hat off to educators because, again, they are the primary source to motivate the student, to educate the student, to really help them have a vision. And I'm sure I've never been an educator, so I'm sure it's not an easy task to wake up every day and to prepare and to give your best, and I really want to highlight our school system, our educators. I'm sure we can always get better, but to have that is not, even now across the world, not everyone has that, and graduating high school, full-time job, and waiting till you're at least 21 to get married and have children. I mean, it's pretty simple, respectfully. I mean, I'm sure there's challenges, but that's a great formula.
Yeah.
And a great tool to have for young adults.
And that all came, the things that Joy and all the team at Decisions, Choices, and Options did. She was an educator.
See.
She was an educator, and she saw things, and she's like, we got to fix this. And so to fix this, she started making a difference. And I mean, now their organization's, it is growing constantly, and people are seeing it. If you really, you talk about, and I say this all the time, if you are just wringing your hands and you don't know what to do to make a difference, supporting Decisions, Choices, and Option is a big one that you can do, and to make sure that it's everywhere it needs to be in the schools. Because for a while we were not in middle school, and we're now back in middle school with Decisions, Choices, and Options in Robertson County. And I mean, if we could get this thing nationwide, what a difference it would make. Just to tell kids, the big thing, people are not telling kids, because you're not getting it from the media, that it's okay their number one thing is abstinence. You don't have to be sexually active. And that's one of the biggest things that messes with our students is this notion that the minute that they, start having an interest, they got to figure it out. Am I a boy or am I a girl? Do I like boys? I mean, all those things. It's like, are you kidding me? Let them grow up. Let them grow up, for heaven's sake.
Absolutely.
And they've got so much nonsense being, pounded on them in the media, that if we can just speak some truth to them and say, hey, you can back off. You don't have to go there right now. Wait until you're older.
Yep.
Just take a breath. And
take a breath.
Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness. But now I understand why our ancestors, whenever they would, you would spend time with the opposite sex, it was very, very chaperoned, very supervised.
See.
My friends from Egypt, they still do that. And I miss working with them. For several years, I was just with them all the time, and they're just such amazing people. But there's one family in particular. It's a bunch of teenage girls. And I was over at their house one day, and it was around the holidays, and they were getting all just beautified. They just looked gorgeous. And they were going to something. Their Christmas is always a week or so after ours. And so they were getting ready to go to church and get all dressed up, and they were just looking beautiful. And I said, you got some little boy? I said, you got some young man in your eye? And they're like, well, no, we can't go and flirt and do all this. I mean, I was teasing them about, dressing up for the guys, and they were just like, what are you talking about? Because that wouldn't have been proper, because their father would, approve or not approve, and all. They go, well, no, that would be disrespectful to my dad. I was like, wow. It was just wow.
When it comes to the success sequence, and just that particular statement, that falls into getting married and having children after 21.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure if the family or the culture is focused on poverty, or try to keep individuals out of poverty, but that is obviously something that goes into the third sequence, and to me, I appreciate freedom. I really do. But where is that balance where the child has the freedom, but then also where the family, gets involved? Because I remember I was watching, it's a TV show, a former TV show called Downton Abbey. One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's on PBS.
Yes. But even
I've never
when
watched that.
But when they were dating, or they were, the families were with, the people going on the date.
There's always escort.
And that,
always a chaperone.
And that naturally does decrease, situations, and so some of those approaches obviously do work, but I know what, in our culture today, we have so much freedom that people may not understand that and may get upset about it. But if you're talking about a success sequence, that does help.
You better believe it.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's one thing. And as they have, they're newcomers to the country, as they get more Americanized, they kind of set that aside. And I had another one of my friends. She was upset with me one day. It's been several years ago, and I went over to her house, and she goes, "Y'all have just ruined sex." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "You've ruined it." And I was like, "What are you talking about? The way you in on your media and your shows, you've just ruined it." And she was just chewing me out.
Wow.
I was like, I didn't do it. But she was just letting me have it. She goes, "Y'all have just messed it up." And she was and she speaks perfect English, but with her, with her accent, it was just so precious. I just loved it. But she was just letting me have it. And but she and she says, "Y'all need to all watch this." And it was very much a spiritual show. She goes, "Everyone needs to watch this." And I was like, "I agree." But she was just, some of them, they really. They're coming out of countries that are so oppressed, and for Christians in Egypt, they're very oppressed.
See.
And so they're here for the freedom of religion above and beyond. But then some of the things they're exposed to and their families are exposed to, they're going, I don't know if this is better. And so anyway, I don't know how we got off on that, but we're talking about just kids making the right decisions and understanding the opportunity they have before them, learning from history. and recognize, I was having the gentleman I told you that his family's from Cuba that teaches Spanish in our school. Mr. Magrin, I think is his last name. I think that's how but I know his first name, but he was saying, we were talking about history and the things that we're just not teaching our kids. He goes, and he was in agreement with me. We got to teach them the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not just the bad and the ugly, but the good too, and just the whole picture. And we're talking about Black History Month. One of the favorite stories that we have shared at Greenbrier, Hiram Revels, who was our first African American senator at the time of the Civil War. And people are like, no, we didn't have senators back in the 1800s. I'm like, we did too. And we had several House of Representative members that were in Congress that were African Americans. And Revels was followed by another gentleman who Revels did not, he only did a partial term or a few years as a senator. But then the gentleman that was elected after him from Mississippi, y'all, was an African American, and he served 6 years. And then it was 92 years before we had another African American senator. What happened? What happened? You know, and the freedom that was felt right after the Civil War got squelched. At the turn of the century. And Woodrow Wilson had a lot to do with that later on. But we've got to look back on history, see what was happening then, tell those stories, and remind people, you know, we were starting to heal, and then we went backwards. I guess the thing is, you know, I say this a lot. We're not who we were. We're not what we're going to be, but at least we're not what we were. And I got that from Designing Women, y'all. I didn't come up with that. Long story. But that, to me, is just a profound statement. And when you look back on that period, right after the Civil War, where we had congressmen and senators, representatives in the House of Representatives and senators in the United States Congress, and then we didn't have any more until after the Civil Rights Movement? What? What happened?
That's a big gap.
What happened? Well, what we did is at that time period, we did not look properly at who we were or what we were and who we are, and we lost sight of what we were going to be, and then we went back to what we were. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I think we're in danger, so in danger of doing that, because I think we've lost so much with race relations in this country. And if we're not careful, we are going to fall back into so much of what we have. We have fallen back into so much of what we were, and we got to cut it out. You know, content of character, best thing Martin Luther King ever said. You got to look at everybody in regards to the content of their character.
Of the character. That's it.
That's where you start.
Absolutely.
Content of their character. And again, we're not what we ought to be. We're not what we're going to be, but at least we're not what we were. But if we're not careful, we will backslide into what we were.
That makes me think about, then it's important, give me your thoughts, U-Turn, it's important to be mindful of what we were then. Because if you don't, if you lose that, then I'm sure, even with good intentions, you might fall back into that.
Right.
So you have to recognize what we were, who we are, and who we're going to be.
You bet.
As far as another sequence, you know, and that's part of the process. And I'm going to put in for the success sequence, working full time, I put under that section vision of who we're going to be as far as an end goal.
You bet.
Where graduating high school is more the education aspect. So you got to get your education. First, you got to get the information. Then you have to have the who you were, who you are, and who you're going to be. What's that vision look like? And then naturally, finding a good long-term friend and partner as far as starting a family and not putting yourself in that position are all sequences of a successful life. I'm really going to look into the decision, choices, and options.
Oh, it's fact.
And all this falls into that. I mean, it really does this conversation. Yeah. So I really want to emphasize, you know, recognizing, you know, who we were, who we are, but focusing on who we're going to be. And that's where that, you can see that gap, respectfully, that's where we kind of missed it for a minute, you know?
Absolutely.
And, but we're definitely heading back in that direction.
Well, and this is something too, a lot of people who, I probably need to be careful how I say this. I'm one of these people that I understand that so many in the African American community have got this bitterness in them because they've heard the stories about how their grandparents were treated. And would that not make you angry?
I can see it.
Would that not make you mad? Because I see it. I have the story of my nephew who is African American. And when I would see how people would treat him because of the color of his skin, it infuriated me. And I spent a long time very bitter at the way he was treated. And it was really only just a handful of people that were jerks, but nobody else did anything to fix it. And so, you know, I let myself live in that bitterness, and what a waste bitterness is. What a waste. And so that's what I encourage people. Yes, it's wrong. It's something that, yes, you can be angry over it, but don't let it poison you.
Don't let it poison you.
Yeah, be angry about it and make sure we don't get back there. And if you're bigoted in any way, I don't care if you're in the white community, the black community, the Latino community. Oh, I see so many people that come in from other countries that have got this attitude that they don't want to be inclusive in what we have in this melting pot.
Yeah.
Right? And man, you're missing the beauty of what this country was founded on. Oh, it's just so much. Oh my gosh, I could go down a wild rabbit hole right now. But I'm gonna take a breath and do a break. I'm gonna do a break. Think about where else you want to go here, Donovan, and you talk more. Oh. So anyway, I love you, brother. I love you. I love the conversations we have because they're just very real. And I love that I can be so real and honest with you. And I just appreciate you so much and your willingness to come in and just kind of hash it out.
Thank you.
Love you. All right, we're going to talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. I love these guys so much. Amy is just the person. When I have a question about what's going on in my garden, and I don't have a vegetable garden, but I've got flowers and things like that. She's my go-to. And I've talked a lot about this lately, several times. Do not start cutting on your evergreens because they look pitiful right now. We had this polar vortex that came through in December that just was crazy, and it really messed with our evergreens. My ivy, I have this beautiful English ivy that I just absolutely love. It looks awful right now. The stuff hanging off my house looks pitiful. And she said, I called her and I said, am I going to have to cut it down and let it regrow? And it takes years to get that established in the way that I like it. She said, no, wait. We're waiting to see what happens with spring because the evergreen trees and bushes and things like that, if you scratch them at the trunk and on the stems, you'll see there's green underneath. And so the thought is that they're going to rebloom, they're going to re-leaf, and they're going to pop back out, and that they're going to come back to life. Now you may have some dead limbs you have to cut off, but she says big thing is wait. Don't start cutting everything back until we see how things are going to regrow in the spring. Right now, she's all about getting things to grow, getting ready for spring. She's getting the greenhouse ready with your bedding plants that you're going to need for your garden. If you're going to plant any kind of lettuce, any of the cold weather vegetables, right now is when you need to be doing it. You can go out and talk to her. It's going to be really warm over the next couple of days. Great days to get your garden going and get it tilled and get it ready, and you'll be way ahead of the game. Now's a great time to go out and talk to her and just ask your questions about what you're going to grow in your garden. She's on winter hours right now, 10 to 4 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 4. Great day to go, be a great time to go out and talk to her about CBD products that are all produced from Robertson County plants that are grown by her brother, the oils, the salves, and all the things that they have that really help me with my arthritis. They've got a bug salve if you get a bug bite that is wonderful. They've got a headache salve. They've got just the normal pain salve. Great stuff going on at Corbin Creek, and you want to go talk to them. They're at 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. You can call them at 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Let them know you turned Syntec. Thank them for being a sponsor here at 1 Street Over. Danavan Hylton is in the house, and we're just all over the places we tend to be, but it's always fun. What else you want to talk about, my friend?
Yeah, just for an example of not letting bitterness poison you, we can always jump back to Miss Lena Bransford and Mr. John L. Patterson.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure they may...
Good segue.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure they may have been bitter, but I'm not saying they were, but I'm saying I could see there being some challenges there.
You bet.
But at the end of the day, did that bitterness, if they had any, did they let that poison them? Mm-hmm. And obviously, I would say the answer is no, or so they would not be notable figures today.
Absolutely.
And so we really have to look, and that's why history is so important. Because it can inspire us as well as educate us, and just bringing it back into Black History Month, and not allowing bitterness to poison you. We do want to highlight Mr. John L. Patterson and Miss Lena Bransford, for the great work they've done. And again, I would go to robcohistoricalsociety.com to find out more information about the performing arts, that performance is happening. And actually, that's going to be few seconds. Mr. Gary Knoll, who's playing Mr. John Patterson, and Miss Tamisha Martin, who'll be playing Miss Lena Bransford.
Wonderful. I'm glad you were able to pull those names up.
Yes, absolutely. And also stop by if you can, BransfordCommunityCenter.com, because and that's the I guess the story today of what Bransford High School used to be, and now it's, because it was torn down. There's a community center being built, and I want to highlight the board of directors for Bransford Community Center, led by the president of the board, Pastor Robert Bell, who's the pastor. Robert Bell? No, Gardner. Sorry, Robert Gardner.
I thought it was him, but I wasn't
Robert
sure.
Gardner. That's my guy. Robert Gardner, who's the pastor at City of Faith International Church.
Right.
So BransfordCommunityCenter.com. Please look into that organization if you want. Definitely donate, because they have been promoting that, the Bransford brand, for a long time.
You bet. And it's going to be wonderful, and I just love it's carrying her name. The more I learn about Miss Lena, the more intrigued I am, and Mr. Patterson as well. And I've always known the names, but I just did not know the story.
Yes.
And so we're doing some stuff at Greenbrier High School to help promote that story as well. And we're so thrilled that the Historical Society has put together what they have for this presentation. It's going to be a wonderful play. I'm not sure what night I'm going, but I am going to see this, and I may end up hitting the
I can
the
hear
matinee.
your,
I couldn't think of the word.
as
I couldn't think of the word. The matinee. The
Matinee.
matinee. I was trying to think on Sunday because there was a 2:00 matinee. So one of these, but I will get there because I've got to see this. And I have seen the gentleman that you mentioned, the actor. What is his name again?
Gary Knoll.
He is wonderful. He is wonderful. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything, but I've heard she's spectacular as well. But I've seen him. Oh, he's wonderful. And I think it's going to be really powerful when he presents the speech of I Dare You from the 1947 graduating class. So that's going to be really good. And I'll get you a copy of that. I think I've got it in an email. I think I can forward it to you. But anything else before we start wrapping it up here?
Just two quick things. Stokes Library, they have a great historical and genealogy center.
Oh, wonderful.
So if you want to find out more information about Robertson County and the history of Robertson County and the people, make sure you stop by there to check that out. And I want to also shout out, I did bring the book with me, The Washingtons of Wessington Plantation.
John.
Yes. And we didn't really get into that too much into that today, but please purchase the book if you can. A good friend of mine, Miss Clarice Rankins in Nashville, has allowed me to read that book. And little did I know at the time that I'll be moving to Robertson County and being that much closer to the plantation.
Well, and John has been on the program before.
Okay.
And we've tried to get him back on, but he's just working, and he's just not available in the morning. Now, I am going to reach out to him, see if I can't get a phone interview scheduled with him sometime this month, and he doesn't know that, but I am going to call him. He's just a wonderful, wonderful historian for Robertson County, just a wealth of information. But yes, if you do not have a copy of this book, please go and get it in honor of Black History Month here in Robertson County, and be a part of the play from the Historical Society next month or next week. I'm going to continue to talk about that and continue to promote that. But this is a great book. Check it out. Check it out, and maybe we can get John on at some point before the end of the month. But fabulous stuff. Thank you, Donovan, so much.
Welcome.
We've got one more ad I need to do, and then we'll come back, and I'm going to let you plug your business one more time before we say goodbye. But I do need to promote one of our sponsors, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. Yes, every time I mention them, I'm going to remind you that the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, third weekend in May, because they're sponsors of it. That is where I met them. And it's so fun to watch them sit around the table and talk shop with all the folks that come to the festival, something that they will do with you anytime. You don't have to come to an event to sit around the table and ask them your random real estate questions. Maybe you've got property and you're just thinking about selling it. Maybe you're just thinking about moving. Maybe you're just thinking about buying and you don't know what you can qualify for. And oh my goodness, the interest rates are freaking you out now. Well, things adjust. It's with the interest rates going up, home prices are coming down, it all adjusts out. I was talking with one of my sons. He was talking about purchasing a home right now, and we were talking about the interest rates, but where they're going to move is going to be closer to work, so they're going to save in gas. So you just have to look at all of those things. Those are the kinds of things that Barry and Rebecca, the questions that they'll ask you and help you work through and balance out, because they've been at this a long time, even though they came out of other careers. And I mentioned that to say, are you in a career and you want to go into real estate? Well, they did. She was in radiology. He was a vice president of a media marketing company, and they went full-time with real estate. They can help you do that if you want to be mentored into that yourself. And you just can't ask for a better team. They're wonderful friends, and they are up in Cross Plains. They're Robertson Countyans, have been here for over 20 years, and they specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or by BUYRobertsonCounty.com, or just give Rebecca a call at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Let them know you turned Cynthia. Danavan Hylton, Hylton Elite. Tell them how to get in touch with you.
Yes, 615-953-4969. 615-953-4969. If you're just a brand or an individual looking to really increase your customer base through marketing, or looking to increase your presence in the community, known as community engagement, especially in urban areas of Tennessee, make sure you reach out and we can help you get that job done.
Oh, I love it. You and your sweet bride, Malika, she's online, keeping tabs on everything as well.
Good morning, Malika.
And so we always want to give her a shout out. She is just so lovely, and y'all work together. I think it's so cool that y'all can work together.
And that's because, respectfully, we followed the third step of the success sequence when it comes to marrying and children after 21.
There you go. There you go. And he is a prime example of that. He's going to come speak to my class. I don't know when, but we're going to get you in to speak to my business and marketing class.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want it to happen soon. So I'll be messaging you, and we're going to get that done. Thank you guys for joining us here on One Street Over. This is 1100 WSGI. Be sure to join us tomorrow. We'll be talking Robertson County sports as we do on Thursday morning, checking in with United Way. Hope you'll be a part of that. And all my sweet friend Lee Marie is on the way in with the Go Show. And this is 1100. Did I see Shannon coming in? Shannon Baumgartner's here. Oh my goodness, my friend. She's going to be here. We got to get her scheduled in to come in and visit with me too. But she just inspires me. So you're going to have a good time. Stick around for the Go Show. 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.